The University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh began as the Oshkosh Normal School for teacher training in 1871. Normal schools arose as a response to an influx of immigrants into the state following the Civil War. There was an urgent need to train qualified teachers to bring out the best in the new arrivals and their children. 2 other normal schools had already been established by the state legislature in Platteville and Whitewater, and there was intense competition among Oshkosh and its sister cities to become home to the third. The city's Common Council pledged $30,000 and a 6-acre site in their bid to secure the new school. Blessed with waterways and railroad connections, Oshkosh was the 3rd largest city in the state at the time and a central hub of commerce and transportation. The location was a logical choice, and in 1866, the state regents awarded the city the school. Local bickering about the exact placement of the school and the taxes involved delayed construction until 1868. Cost overruns on the elegant 3-story structure then left no money for staff or furniture. The building stood empty on Algoma Boulevard for an entire year. Finally, in the fall of 1871, the fully funded Oshkosh Normal School commenced its first term, with 6 faculty members and 43 students, each of whom had been interviewed personally by President George S. Albee to ensure they met his academic and moral standards. In the early years, tuition was free to all who declared an intent to teach in Wisconsin public schools. Book rental was $1 per term. The major expense was room and board, which could be up to $4 a week for a furnished room with lights and fuel. Oshkosh quickly distinguished itself by becoming the first state normal school in the nation to have a kindergarten. Under the guidance of Rose C. Swart, practice teaching was introduced in 1872. In a forward-looking break from Eastern U.S. tradition, President Albee's Midwestern approach to normal education stressed the teaching of subject matter in addition to pedagogy. Before long, the young institution added domestic science and industrial education to its curriculum. In 1912, an industrial arts building was erected, later named Harrington Hall. Tragedy struck campus in the early morning hours of March 22, 1916, when a fire broke out in the main building. Fanned by the wind, flames spread rapidly as students and faculty rushed to save whatever books and equipment they could. Science instructor Henry Fling remained in the burning second-floor library so long that he became trapped and was forced to leap out a window into a tautly pulled blanket below. He survived with minor injuries, but the building and most of its contents were lost, destroyed by the fire. School President John Keith immediately went to work enlisting the help of local clergy who agreed to host temporary classrooms in their churches. Thanks to this quick action, students at the Oshkosh Normal School missed only 1 day of classes. Dempsey Hall, completed in 1918, was built to replace the original structure. In 1927, the school became a degree-granting institution and was renamed Oshkosh State Teachers College. Soon after, the Rose C. Swart Training School, now Swart Hall, opened as a model school building for grades K through 9. The Great Depression struck hard in Winnebago County, yet enrollment increased during this time as many students from northeastern Wisconsin, unable to afford the expense of UW-Madison, chose to continue their studies closer to home and for far less money. At the outset of World War II, most male students joined the armed forces and enrollment plummeted. By 1943, there were only 260 students on campus, all but 12 female. The nearly empty college was forced to lay off staff until President Forrest R. Polk, a veteran of World War I, seized on an opportunity to help his college through its enrollment crisis while also helping the war effort. The Army Air Corps had an urgent need to educate their new recruits in the math, physics, and other skills required to operate its complex aircraft. Oshkosh State Teachers College applied and was selected for aviation cadet training, and during 18 months in 1943 and 1944, more than 1,000 cadets passed through OSTC. They lived in the converted Swart Hall barracks and conducted drill practice on Algoma Boulevard. After World War II, students flocked back to school, many of them veterans on the GI Bill of Rights. To appeal to the growing population of students, teacher colleges statewide were granted the ability to offer liberal arts programs. The new curricula enabled the schools to train students for a variety of occupations beyond teaching. In 1951, OSTC was renamed Wisconsin State College Oshkosh to reflect this shift in the school's mission. The 1960s were a time of rapid expansion on campus. Course offerings broadened and buildings sprang up. The College of Business Administration and the College of Nursing were added. Extension classes that had been held in a variety of locations now found permanent homes in the newly built Fox Cities and Fond du Lac campuses. And in 1963, Oshkosh began a graduate school, transforming the one-time normal school into a full-fledged institution of higher education. In 1964, the name was changed once again to Wisconsin State University Oshkosh. The 1960s were also a time of radical politics and civil unrest. College campuses were often ground zero for social activism, and Oshkosh was no exception. On November 21, 1968, African American dissent over course offerings, housing discrimination, and other issues culminated in a protest and takeover of the university president's executive office that came to be known as Black Thursday. 94 African American students were subsequently expelled. In the following months, protests of solidarity in Oshkosh and on campuses across the state began to change hearts and minds, and the university committed to making a series of improvements for black students on campus. The newly recognized Afro-American Society began to host a speakers series that brought several civil rights luminaries to campus, including boxing legend Muhammad Ali. In its centennial year of 1971, the campus merged with the University of Wisconsin system and took its present name. With 11,500 students and 35 buildings, UW-Oshkosh was the largest of the comprehensive universities. Over the following decades, investment in emerging technologies, new programs, institutes, and degrees enabled the campus to remain current and relevant to its students. In the 21st century, new structures such as Sage Hall, Horizon Village, and the Culver Family Welcome Center were added, while many existing buildings were renovated and expanded. At the same time, the university engaged the community by working with regional businesses to provide university solutions to local industrial and commercial problems, while strengthening scholarship and internship opportunities for its students. A commitment to sustainability and environmental consciousness, as well as civic engagement and intercultural knowledge, became core tenets. In 2019, the men's basketball team won the NCAA Division III championship, the 47th national championship in the school's history, extending a tradition of excellence in athletics that stretches as far back as the men's basketball normal school conference champions in 1914. In the spring of 2020, the world was gripped by a global pandemic. As COVID-19 spread across the nation, the university responded. Much like the fallout from the fire a century earlier, swift action was taken, moving classes online, adopting safety measures, and setting up testing sites and an emergency operations center to monitor and respond to the crisis in real time. The university's response was so effective that the Surgeon General of the United States toured campus and held it up as an exemplar to the nation. As vaccines came online, UWO again led the way, inoculating campus and community alike. Today, UW-Oshkosh is the third largest university in Wisconsin, with an annual on- and off-campus enrollment of over 15,500 students. The one-time Teachers College now offers over 250 majors, minors, and emphases, in addition to 15 graduate programs and 2 doctoral programs. Looking to the future, UW-Oshkosh is well positioned to be vital to the region and an institution of choice for students both near and far, with a 21st century curriculum that fuels imagination, champions critical thinking, celebrates excellence, and prepares students for the jobs of today and tomorrow.